Welcome back to season 2, episode 5 of Fantasy PD. Almost went back to our roots there and said I suck at fantasy, which would have been bad. I am joined here by friend of the pod, normal host, Nick Clement. Is that a new vacuum cleaner behind you?
It is. We are still finding a spot for it in the new apartment, but for now,
There it is. Good. And we are joined by first time on the pod, I believe.
This season. I was on twice last year.
Well, yeah. You were. But number one critic of the pod, friend of the pod, some would say the first one to watch the pod every morning, always comes back with things that we can do to improve. And says, I don't want to be the one to edit it. Andrew Bergh, how are we doing today?
Good. I'm a friend of Madison Fantasy. I'm glad to be here.
It's good to have you. Obviously, big trade for you today. Our regular scheduled programming with Dan Miller should commence soon. We just decided to get going ahead of time and not reward bad behavior because he asked for 5. It is 5:05. He's still not in the call. He's on vacation. He's had nothing that he has to do, and he's still not here in time. I'm also looking at the power rankings. He made Bergh submit his by 3 p.m. Bergh submitted his by 3 p.m. Dan did not submit those to the power rankings. I submitted those for Bergh. And then Dan has not submitted his power rankings. So if we're going to sit around and wait for him while he tries to figure out what the hell's going on over there in Nashville, we're just not going to do that. But speak of the devil, the man, the myth, not the legend, coming off a big fantasy L. We will give him at least a minute here to connect to audio and probably leave the screen, then dial back in. You all don't understand the pain that we go through just to record this on a day-to-day basis. Is that Matt Nick? Is that Matt Nick?
That's a beautiful polo.
Oh my gosh.
Do I sound okay? I realize I guess it's already starting. Thanks for waiting for
me. We are not rewarding bad behavior. I just got done with my 2-minute rant on why we did not wait.
Perfect start.
For you about 15, 20 minutes. That's no big deal.
Hey, get your own Zoom link, put the PowerPoint together, put your power rankings in, coordinate the forms.
Still, so.
Yeah, please get to work. Dan, anything you'd like to say to our viewers?
I don't think so. No, let me collect myself.
All right, we're excited to see the TikTok come in. We are excited. Ooh, Cole, number 1 in your power rankings. All right, I got the live feed over here to the right. So
no, I entered it for the wrong person. So
ooh, little teaser.
Little teaser there. All right. Bergh, we're not going to go full screen, but I will implement some of your other changes this time around in which we do show the graph of the fans when we go through the picks. So that is where we will start. I will share here. Share my screen. Desktop number 2.
Let's hope it works this time.
Can you see the PowerPoint?
I can.
Yeah, it's not full screen, but I can see it.
I would like to apologize to our viewership. I grabbed the wrong files. It went through our QA processes. Our QA driver fell asleep at the wheel, and we are back. But we will get the right file in this time around. We'll have it uploaded. You all will be set to go. So here's some interesting things in the pick'em. I had a 5-1 week. Pretty pumped about that. Nick 3-3, Dan 2-4. And we're going to jump to the next slide, and then we'll get some thoughts on last week. But we had the people who, putting this together, you guys are a bunch of big, dumb idiots. Oh, the podcast hosts, you guys are the worst. You know what you're doing. Well, I'm sorry to say that the people went 2-4 last week. So I think we've got to figure out I think we know that the people are just dumb. They are tied with Nick for the worst pick'em percentage on here at exactly 500, but obviously Nick is not the worst overall from the last 2 years. So Nick, any key takeaways from last week?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty dang cool to see all the 0-2 teams. The league is better when we have all 12 players still in the mix. You didn't want to start 0-3 and all teams avoided that. So I thought that was a big deal. And I made the comments in the group chat. Only my 2 degenerates, Peter and Chris, appreciated it with the like, but I actually ran the numbers. And if it was a parlay on those 0-2 teams, the 3 of them to win, it was about 15-1 for that to happen. So it was highly unlikely it did, but here we are.
Watch for Chris. Chris is currently in Iowa while watching this. So watch for him to get a juicy parlay fired up. Dan, it's good to have you back. Looks like your thoughts are collected. Looks like you are thinking okay, because I can see already that you have yourself ranked wildly too high in the power rankings to begin with. But
Wait, I mess it up. No, I have myself the same spot that you and also Berg have me ranked, so I guess it's not that high.
I know. Just had to razz you one more time. Well, how are we doing, Dan? Thoughts collected? What are your big takeaways from last week?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I know everyone's been waiting to kind of ask me. I was a little unplugged for a while, spending time with some family. It was one of the worst performances I've seen in my life from a fucking team. They've let me down in ways that I could not put into words. If you talk to Shaw, I'm sure he shared my rant. There was a time when I was thinking about quitting fantasy as a whole. I think Peter's about one of the lowest things that could happen in this league. You guys don't know this. I'm 0-3 in my other league too that I care a lot.
We know.
It has not been a good start to the season, but I've talked to my boss and I'm kind of putting down some responsibilities at work because I need to put in some more time in this league.
Smart.
So Dan, you are less than 7 points. I think I'm looking at the scoreboard correctly. You're about 6 points or so away from being 0-6 across your 2 leagues. So let that
scoreboards for my other league too.
No, I'm saying, yeah, your 6-point win over Juicy Jeff's Stop Sucking last week is the only thing holding you from an over in both leagues.
You can look at it that way, but I've lost 4 matchups in both this league and another league by less than 10 points. So it's really anybody's game. I was lowest points scored for the last 2 weeks in my other league too. So that's I got 2 trades through today in my other league. So things are taking shape.
Well, it's good to have you here. Obviously, things didn't fall your way last week. I was really sad to see that happen. He's such a good friend, such a nice guy. But I had to keep myself at 12 in the power rankings after getting a win over a Mickey Mouse JV dog shit team. So next week, kind of a tune-up game to head into an absolute heavyweight bout with Milk this week. Berg, what are your key takeaways? Obviously, you view your squad as elite of almost the elite. We'll get into power rankings, but just quick spoiler. You've got a very big dispersion on where you view your team. You currently have yourself second in the power rankings. So excited we'll get into that in a sec, but what have you seen these first few weeks? Good to have you.
Oh, thank you. I think my team's been pretty unlucky the first few weeks. I've played some tough teams and I've had suspensions and injuries on my team. And I think it's going to turn around pretty soon.
Okay. So you think Mike Evans coming back will make a big difference?
Yeah, and Keenan Allen.
All right.
Those are my second and third draft picks. I've been without them for a week or 2 each.
Okay. I'm currently adjusting these power rankings because they're a little messed up on the way that they're supposed to be. So give me 1 second here, but we're back. I think the biggest surprise of the week was Milk taking the win versus Cole, a person we had in top of our power rankings. Milk being, bottom of the barrel there right alongside me, just a little ahead of me, actually. So him getting that win, turning it around is really fascinating. I've got a few factoids. The first one that I will throw out are stats is there have been 9 weeks through the first 6 weeks, through the first 2 years that we have played this league. So we 0 to 6 last year, week 1 to 6 last year. There's 6 weeks, week 1 to 3 this week, 9 weeks. In those 9 weeks, Chris is 8-1.
Touchdown Lenny. Last season,
I believe he started 3-0 last year as well. Lost in the fourth week 4. It could have been the 3rd week. I could be off on that, but Chris has yet to see very early season adversity. Obviously riding Derrick Henry and some, as he said, he doesn't get to pick where the points land. They seem to always land in his favor. So Chris keeps just strolling along, but very fascinating for him to watch how good of a starter he is in the world of fantasy football. But let's carry on here. Let's get into power rankings. We will have our resident new man come up and share first. So, Bergh, you probably have the most wildly different power rankings than all of us, especially like we talked about, since you're number 2. So walk us through what you're seeing out there on the squad. Obviously, you're pretty high on your team, pretty low on some others. We currently have a tie for 11th. So I definitely moved up a spot because I was number 12 last week. So Bergh, what are you seeing out there?
Well, I was looking at, I ranked mine based off which teams I'd want to trade positions with, take their entire team and their current record. I thought there's 4 teams that are clearly the number 1 favorites to win the league. That's Jake, first of all. I think he's by far and away number 1. Then it's me, Matt Hebert, and Cole are the followers. Then you got a bunch of contenders that are all pretty even as well, but I think there's a big drop off after those top 4. I've got Shaw 5, then Dan, Toy, Nick, and Chris. And then there's 3 miserable teams that I would do nothing for. They're just useless at this point. And that's Matt, Nick, Peter, and Milk in that order. So
Matt, Nick catching stray bullets.
yeah, his team is rough and not in good
Shaw
position.
at 5 is just astonishing.
See, I think he's got a pretty solid team. He doesn't have a tight end, but he's got a good bench for when buys and injuries come around.
That's the first thing you bring up is his bench, the people he doesn't play.
They're
Bro,
going
he
to start
scored-
playing soon. He's got.
I didn't
I
have
think.
but I think he scored our all-time season low this week.
Yeah,
all
that's
time.
No, he didn't. There was like a 50-pointer last year. Year is low. You get into bye weeks, there were some ugly.
I guess, but it was.
But maybe in a non-bye week, that might be the lowest non-bye weeks.
Yeah.
Could be.
My
You really
comments,
like Garrett Wilson in his roster. Go ahead, Nick.
yeah, my comments on Berg's is I'm not shocked because Bergh is a fantasy moron. He put himself high, whatever. Let him do that. Let him tout his horn one time on the podcast. The Shaw thing is he's got a weird love fest with him on Twitter, so I wasn't surprised to see him uber high. I knew he was going to put me as low as he could. But yeah, I agree. The Matt Nick one is the weirdest one to me because I think Matt's team is, I've said it for 3 weeks. I'm going to be the one to hammer it home that he has a great team because he has Hurts. He's got Kamara, who's been a slow start, but first round running back, still potential. He's got Jamal Williams, who's been trying to sell to me, and I just couldn't get a deal done. And now I have to pay the price. But and he has Diggs. Yeah, he is not bottom of the barrel with Milk and Peter. So that one shocks me the most.
I made notes on every team except for his, but just looking at his roster, I don't like it much at all. Again, back to the bench, but his bench is terrible. There's no one worth starting there.
He has David
and then-
Montgomery. He doesn't even
but
not even
normally
his starting
Jamal
lineup.
Williams isn't going to start either. So I kind of flip those two. And then after
That's
Diggs
not
and
bad.
Hurts, there's
Sorry.
nothing great.
Your logic is a little bit askew, Bird.
Yeah, I agree. We'll go over your team rundown when we're doing matchups. Leave your team rundown for that. We can just, if there's anything else on power rankings, let's cover that now.
That's all I've got for now.
You thought it would be a welcoming crowd, Berg.
What I found, I think, just funniest was the news today of Sterling Shepard tearing his ACL. Season's over. Joins Team
You
Peter.
just heard that today?
Yeah.
That was like instant in the moment he was running. You could tell, like he was. If he grabbed the back, it was Achilles. He grabbed the front, it was an ACL. It was like Kevin Durant in Toronto 3 years ago when he just ran and it looked like he got like shot in the leg and just went straight up.
It was bad.
After Sunday's piss poor performance by both teams and the Jets, I wasn't tuning in to Monday Night Football. I can promise you that. To watch a Cowboys Giants bout, there's no way.
Well, I'm just surprised that the Reddit boy had that 2 days late.
I've been unplugged.
Yeah. So I'll just round out the power rankings. We probably don't even need to go through me, Pete's, and Dan's because they're arguably very close, and we have a general idea of all of that. But I think the cool thing is that we all see, including Berg, he's right on this, that Cole is still a top 4 team. I told Peter this morning that I think Cole's team is very reminiscent of Dan's team last year, where we saw that he had that potential. We saw he had those like high end guys that might just not be getting end zones, or they're a little bit underperforming. So I really think Cole's team is still very solid, and it's cool to see all four of us still have them that high. We're smart, or we're dumb, and he goes 1-10 to start the season or something.
Hey, well, what do we know? We know nothing, but we know more than the people because they went 2-4. So let's head on over to our matchup previews.
The Chris Sack celebration.
All right.
At the Packer party, Dan, we asked Chris, he was comparing himself to who was it, Tom Brady or something
with
about
the knee
the
brace.
knee brace. And we asked him, did you have like a cool celebration like Ray Lewis or anything, like an army crawl? He's like, nope, I do a sack, and he'd just get up and he'd just do this.
That's one. All right. So I believe that the consensus matchup of the week, which we will always cover last, is King Henry versus the People's Champion. So that will be last. Here's the thing: as we head into week 4, it could be pretty fascinating. We will for sure, heading into week 5, have 3 1-3 teams. 3 of the matchups are 1-2 versus 1-2. Then on top of that, we have the potential to have 5 1-3 teams heading into week 5. One of those that is not the potential is I Like It RA, which I don't know what that is. And
Raw.
Is it just raw and there's no W? That's how I'm
It's-
supposed to.
Pete, you might not. Pete, you might not get this, but it's a sex reference.
I get the sex
Okay.
reference, but is that how it is actually spelled in the sex reference?
I think that's
for
just.
Amon Ra, I think.
I know. Yes, but he's making a play on Amon Ra, and then
okay,
it's like
okay, now I got
RAW.
All right. Well, no. I know the sex reference, but because I'm cool like that. But I didn't know. Now I get it. That was like last year. I just learned this year that Chris's name was the Brady Bunch because of Tom Brady. I didn't never put the two together. So, anyways, Herbert's Heroes versus I Like It Amon Ra St. Brown. Bergh, take us away. This is your roomie. You had to clean the kitchen as a function of losing to this man no more than 1 week ago. So what do you see here? What do you like? What do you dislike?
I've got I Like It Raw here. I think his team, like I said in the power rankings, is clearly number 1, even though I had Matt just slightly below that. I think there is a pretty big gap between one and the rest. He's projected 116 points this week, which is just insane to me at this point in the season. So I like Jake here.
I also like Jake here. I just think his team is so good. Josh Allen in that matchup against Baltimore is maybe scary at first because you think of Baltimore as a big defense, but that game's going to be a shootout. And then look for maybe Eckler with the slow start to get right in Houston.
Yeah, I think the one thing that, and it looks a little different with these teams, is Ebert has Boober Bup in his flex. So when you really take him into account, it changes things up a little bit. But Jake's team with Chubb and Eckler is so much more firepower than Saquon and Ramondre Stevenson. So I have Jake as well.
I've got Jake as well. But interesting factoid, it looks like there's a chance that the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, is starting in London for the New Orleans Saints this week.
I did see that. He's starting Olave for the first time this season. If he holds with his lineup as is right now, he's got Olave for the first time.
So the people are completely split 50-50. So we will keep running this so that we can see who will win, because we obviously can't get a winner. So we have got only 6 votes. So F all of you who have not done any.
Did any of you guys do it?
No.
I did.
You did, Dan?
Am I not supposed to?
I feel like, yeah, I feel like it should be the people. Like, don't.
Bergh, did you do it?
No, I was going to be on the podcast. I knew better.
And Bergh, you've got Jake. I'll write yours down. So you got Jake.
Mhm.
All right. So that leads us to number 2 of the week, which we'll take a pit stop over at Just Here to Beat Dan versus the Watson Massage Parlor. Bergh, start us off.
Yeah, I've got wait, who is this? Oh
Toy.
yeah, I've got Toy in this one. Matt Nick has 4 starters listed as questionable. Again, I don't think his team's as good as you guys do. I've got Toy here.
I made the mistake of taking Alex's dog shit team last week, so I'm taking my ride or die this year, Matt Nick. I think he's gonna do he's gonna change Bergh's mind about his team this week, let's say. All right. You're gonna see him put up some big numbers. I think these guys are gonna come through for him, and you'll change your mind about him. So I've got the Watson massage parlor.
Yeah, I'm gonna take. Oh, this is, I think, gonna be a really, really could go either way matchup. I'm gonna take Matt Nick in this one, and that's simply Jalen Hurts versus Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson might be one of the worst quarterbacks to play football.
He stinks.
And it's very interesting with New Orleans making a quarterback change. Does that mean Alvin Kamara is now the dump off king, or do they never find the end zone because they stink and Alvin Kamara never scores a touchdown?
How many what's the pace for Jameis Winston right now? Because I think he's had like 5 in 3 games already again. They're letting him loose. So yeah, I like the take that maybe getting Kamara going is he just needs that Dalton behind center.
I'm gonna take Toy here. I like his matchups. I like I think what Matt Nick has really fell unfortunately victim of is picking the wrong flex. And then once again, if Michael Thomas is getting the ball from Andy Dalton and Alvin Kamara getting the ball from Andy Dalton, who knows what happens there. I like Deontay Johnson against the Jets. I like Jamar Chase against Miami. I'm gonna roll Toy. Roll the dice here.
Wait, actually, can I potentially change my vote? Can we go back? Can we look at Matt Nick's bench?
Jacoby Myers, his guy.
Yeah, I have insider intel from the New Orleans organization that Michael Thomas doesn't play. So I think that could be big. I'm going to make mine a speculatory pick. If Michael Thomas does play, Matt Nick wins. If he doesn't play, then it is Toy.
Nick, you had Matt Nick.
Yeah, I'll ride with him whether or not Thomas plays.
Can I make a speculatory pick that if Matt Nick scores more points, he's going to win?
Good call. We'll allow it.
Thank you.
I'll also mark you down as Matt. You have Toy, right, Bergh?
I do.
All right. And I almost forgot this, but the people have got Matt Nick in this one. They are
All right.
riding with Courtdale Corn Dogs. All right. We're going to take a trip on over to Nashville. And when I talk about Nashville, I'm not talking about the man that's in the picture right now. We're talking about the man who gets dreamed about every night when this little boy's eyes are shut and he is in deep REM sleep. And if you think I'm talking about Dan Miller or Magic Hat, you are wrong. I am talking about Harland and his hogs. So
Oh, baby.
head on over to the plantation and we're going to go to Harland's hogs. So Bergh, the number 2 and second best team in the league, like, let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, I do have a very complete lineup. As you can see here, I'm got that checkbox in a lot of the columns or in the rows. The only thing missing on my team, I think, at this point is a good quarterback. Stafford's been letting me down. But I think overall my team's better than Cole, but Cole's still got a good team. He's number 4 in my power rankings. I've played all 3 of the other 4 teams in my power rankings this season. So another tough matchup for me, but I got myself pulling out this one.
I will take Cole. I think he gets out of his little rut. McCaffrey, the Twitter sphere is saying that this little hammy thing is different than the nicks and bruises he's been seeing the last month or so. So I think there's a chance he doesn't play. Even if he does, I think he might be limited. Meanwhile, Cole has Khalil Herbert, potentially if David Montgomery isn't able to go. And then we'll see if he decides to start Justin Jefferson or not yet. He is on his bench. He changed his name. He changed his profile picture. I love the commitment to get Justin going a little bit more fired up for this matchup against New Orleans and over across the sea. So I will take Cole.
Yeah, I'm going to take Colt too. Talked to him on the phone today. He said he has Justin Jefferson in timeout on his bench to think about what he's done these past few weeks. And I think it's going to work, and it's going to get Juicy Jeff pumping. And I think it's going to be a pull away victory for Cole.
I ran back the teleprompter, and when we were looking at Matt Nick's team, it was picking our resident big brain Andrew Bergh said he was not picking Matt Nick because he has 4 questionable players. Well, apparently 3 questionable players makes you the favorite. That's the breaking point in his team and how he picks. So I am also going to go with I'm going to guess that Justin Jefferson gets his way out of timeout by the time he flies across the pond, and I will take Cole in this matchup. You're not starting AJ Dillon right now because he's questionable. Very interesting there. And
It's not because he's questionable. He's just not as good as my starters. Same with DJ Moore.
McCaffrey just hasn't been ruled out yet. So once that happens, you'll see AJ Dillon plugged in. Gotcha. And excited about that trade that you made for DJ Moore. Anything that you want to comment on that? Obviously, Fantasy Pros had him at a 26. Garrett Wilson was at 30. So we think that we're making gravy here. Is that right?
That's all there is to it. If you want DJ Moore, offer me a player higher in the Fantasy Pros rankings.
All right. You heard it here first. So we've got Bergh, and then the people are riding with Cole. All 6 of them who voted, one of them being Dan. All right.
Wonder who voted for you, Bergh. Wasn't
I'd
me.
like to know. Probably a friend.
It's probably Shaw. 2 of you making out on Twitter every freaking day about this podcast.
I'm not on Twitter. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you are.
All
You have
right.
a Twitter.
I do
We'll
not.
go over to the man who has Dobbs and Dobby, not the house elf. So Nick, take us away. Then we'll hop on over to Bergh Street, then down to Nashville, and we'll wrap it up with our podcast host giving our pick.
Got repping the new name. Got the 2 new players. The JD McKissick reference is Dobby, which I found out today. So let's go with the LLC. I am going to pick myself. I have a low projected total right now. No fault of my own. I mean, you're projecting Lamar Jackson for 23. Like, let's be realistic. He scored 40 the last 2. He'll do it again against Buffalo. So I've got me this week. While I do think it's closer than I might have thought a week ago. I think Shaw's team showed some life. He's making some moves finally that he's wanted to do. He said for weeks where he started Cooper. He thinks Lamb is finally coming around. So I think it'll be close, but I still got me to win this week.
Yeah, I'm going to actually take Alex Shaw on this one. I think that finally having the intuition to play Amari Cooper, and I like Garrett Wilson having that Wilson connection with Zach coming back. And then I do think this is Lamar's comeback to reality game. I think he is still going to put up a good amount of points, but Buffalo is a stout defense. Nick, do you know if that's in Buffalo or in Baltimore?
It is in Baltimore.
Gotcha. I don't think that changes much, but just curious.
Then why'd you ask?
Just for my own knowledge. Because if it was in Buffalo, there's just no shot in hell. At least Buffalo or Baltimore, there's a chance.
Bergh?
I got Shaw here, my good friend. I think both these teams are average. They are decent with no good tight end. They should probably trade for someone like Conklin from the Jets. Nick's team, though, the wide receivers I think are so weak. They're just so hit or miss, all of them. I've been saying that since the start of the season, and I think it's still the same. I don't see them continuing to put up numbers.
How are they hit or miss? They had 1 bad week to start the season where things are weird, and then the last 2 weeks my wide receivers have outscored yours.
Well, yeah, but that's just because, like I'm saying, they're hit or miss guys. Like Mike Williams is like touchdown or nothing kind of guy, and Cortland Sutton's the same. I dealt with him last year, and You're starting Christian Kirk. He's just very. I wouldn't expect him to have a great season after this, but we'll see.
Buddy, let's make a bet about my
I'd love to.
receivers over under points. So give me a line for my three
Well,
wide receivers total
their-
points this week.
Their projections are 33. It looks like total. I'll take
Sure.
the under.
All right, I'll bet you $5 that mine score over 33 this week.
Deal.
All right, you heard it here first, Fantasy PD.
Oh, maybe. Dicey. I've got Nick in this one. I like his team here. I think that Shaw's going to be in a world of hurt this week because I think that he once again is going to. I think that his team's going to perform well, but I think that his bench is going to outperform a guy on his team who would have won him just like last week with Amari Cooper. So I think that he has got the toughest always picking, like, do I start Amari? Do I start Breece Hall? Do I start Gabe Davis? He also has Tony Pollard sitting on his bench, like not a bad start as well. I think he's just always going to pick. I think Shaw loses sleep over that, and I am going to go with Nick solely based on that for this week. What was that? There's one other thing I was going to say, but I forgot. So we'll keep moving along.
I have Shaw this week, and then I have Jake next week, and then it's DeAndre Swift's bye. So I'm just hoping to go 1-1 over the next 2 weeks. Ideally, I'd grab it here against Shaw before I have to play against the juggernaut that is Jake. So I think it's actually a low-key big week for me to try and get through this DeAndre Swift injury.
And the people are riding with oh, baby. Split
That's fair.
consensus. 50-50.
Well, Dan voted for Shaw, so actually the people voted for me.
We don't know. I'm.
All right. What could have been the matchup of two 0-3 teams has turned into the matchup of two 1-2 teams on the absolute rise. So take it away. Who wants to start us?
Yeah, these two teams are horrible. But I think Milks is a little better at the moment. I think Peter's got a better bench, but that doesn't matter at all this week. So I'll take
Bro,
Milk.
that was
But it matters for Shaw.
everybody else winning.
No,
You
not
voted
for
Shaw-
winning this week. That was part of my power rankings. That's why
Yeah.
Peter's ahead of Milk in my power
Oh,
rankings, but not in the present week.
You gave Shaw the 5th in the power rankings because he had a good bench.
Yeah.
All right.
Once buys and injuries come around in a few weeks, it'll change a lot.
They're already here.
Yeah. No, well, buys aren't. He's going to be starting Gabe Davis or Garrett
Shaw,
Wilson.
DJ Moore and Gabe Davis for Travis Kelce.
And
2 thumbs down.
did you bite?
And every phone call I start with Dan in fantasy season, he tells me he has zero need for Travis Kelce.
He's got the
I
hot.
don't want.
I know. Now that you have Njoku, it looks like you're losing faith in Hawk. Did you pick up Njoku?
I did indeed. I think that holding both Hawk and Njoku is going to be a good move. I think Njoku's really going to flourish, but not as much flourish as the Hawk. And then I'm going to have both the 1 and the 2 tight end, and then I'm going to trade him to a tight end needy team like Nick, who's already inquired about Njoku.
Is that why Bergh has you so high in his power rankings because of your strong tight end bench?
Milk had 3 tight ends on his bench. I
Yeah,
believe,
he
this
did.
morning, or not on 3 on his bench, but 3 on his team, and that was another reason he was so low in my power rankings.
He did make a move, picked up Zay Jones today for like 40 fab.
Not quite the Curtis Samuel price.
Bargain.
Hey. All
So
right.
in this
Berg's got milk. Nick?
Yep.
Yeah, I will do my I don't like to do the caveats as much as Dan because he's a little this, if you know what I mean. But this I will use a caveat for that I need to see Dalvin in that big old machine harness thing that he puts on his shoulder when he unlocks and becomes the real Dalvin Cook and goes off. So if he plays with that robo shoulder thing, I'll take you, Pete. If he doesn't play, I'll take Milk.
What if he plays without the robo shoulder thing?
I'll take Milk. I want that robo shoulder thing.
Rolo shoulder.
I've got Milk in this one. I think even with Peter's win last week against my piss poor squad, I think Peter's team actually gets worse. Anytime Godwin senses that he might go and play again, Pete throws him in his lineup. But is Godwin actually going to play? Who knows? Dalvin Cook's hurt. Is he going to play with that big robo thing? Who knows? Milk's team, while it is bad as well, his guys are going to play. So I've got Milk.
I've got myself in this one. Love the prospects of Kelsey and being potentially in a dome and Patrick Mahomes throwing it all over up in Minnesota. So pumped about that potentially versus Hurricane winds. If they are playing in Tampa Bay, I might need somebody to go to the parking lot and throw balls. So that how the ball is reacting in these winds. All right, so you've got the caveat, I've got myself, and then the people are 50-50 on this one. People are with me, actually.
Because Dan voted for Milk.
We don't know who I voted for. It's anonymous.
You just said who you voted for.
Yeah, you just said.
Yeah, but I was saying now, but I just filled this out blindly.
That is true.
All right, and then the last game here, we've got the People's Champion versus King Henry. So, Dan.
So, I might pull the old Tina, what is it, Tina Harding?
Tanya
Harding and go break Derrick Henry's legs while I'm still in Nashville. But I think even if I gain a conscience by then and don't do it, I still have me winning in this one. I'm going to really drone on because I know how much Chris loves it. I think that JT is going to have his bounce back game. I think Kareem Hunt is a good start. Tyreek and AJ Brown, both dogs. Tyreek in primetime Thursday night football is going to be an absolute movie. The Hawk is an absolute stud. Brandon Cooks kind of sucks. Kirk Cousins in New Orleans, that's fine too. And then Chris's team, a bunch of nobodies.
Are they playing in New Orleans?
Who's they?
Kirk, is he playing in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What time's that game on Sunday?
Oh, they're in London. My bad. Whatever. You know what I meant. It's a home game for New Orleans. That's all.
Oh, game Chris a little bit, happier.
Yeah, my bad.
So who do you have in this one?
Like I said, it was a bit of a toss-up at first. I thought Chris's lack of defense really set him apart in this league. I thought Miles Sanders, a Philadelphia running back, is just a guy to play. And then having both Javonte and Jerry Jeudy on an offense that can't do anything is just such a stack. So with all that being said, I'm going to take myself.
All right. Bergh?
Unfortunately, I'm also picking Dan. I think Chris might have the worst roster in the whole league and is somehow 3-0. That shocks me. But that's really all it is. Dan's team's average. Chris's is horrible. I'm going with Dan.
I think I've picked against. Oh no, I got Chris once. I'm 1-2 when picking with Chris or with against him. So I think I'm going to take for my picks. I think Dan will win, but I think in my pick I'm taking Chris. So I'm going to take Chris this week because if I don't, I don't know. So I will take Chris. I think Henry, who is not playing in Nashville, who is not just down the road from Dan. He actually is in Indianapolis this week, so he cannot.
Yeah, but he's training here. They asked if I would show Henry how to do a cut. They called me up. I said I have work, or else I would.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take King Henry this week. Let's throw the man a bone. He's 3-0.
Is it in the first 6 weeks of the season?
Yes, it is.
Is that man 8-1?
Yes, he is.
I'm gonna ride with Chris. Once week 7 hits, Chris, watch out. I'm gonna start picking against you. But those first 6 weeks of the season, I like where your team's at. I actually think this is the week that Denver gets it going. And I believe here's what's crazy. I think so. Las Vegas has Denver this weekend. And then they think they have Kansas City the weekend after. Not that this matters for this at all, but they could realistically fall to 0-5. So, anywho, Chris, just please drop Carson Wentz. Like, nobody's gonna pick him up. If you want him, then if Rodgers doesn't have a good week, you can go back and spend one fab and pick him back up. Go drop him. Keep everybody else on your team. Fuck, drop Rex Burkhead, man. You're never going to play him. Even if Dameon Pierce goes down, and he was my quote unquote handcuff, I would never play him. So, all right. I've got Chris in this one. I think it's gonna be close. Yeah, thank you to the Pittsburgh Steelers for stopping Kareem Hunt 3 times on the goal line last week to help me secure that dub. So that brings us to
the overlooked position always is why Pete's team doesn't get as much love, and same with Chris is the tight end position. He does have Mark Andrews, who has been awesome for him as part of that Ravens attack. So that's another reason why Chris's team on paper doesn't look well, but he performs each week.
Yeah. Dan, any closing thoughts on this matchup?
Can I have the video back?
You can turn it on yourself, I think, right?
It says I can't.
Oh, I have to ask to start. I thought you could just turn it back on. Sorry. So the people are riding with Chris in this one.
I wonder who voted for Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a unanimous.
It is unanimous.
Can we look at what people said about the Jets?
The Jets will lose by 3. Wait.
No, that's win by 3.
Win
That's
by
minus
3. Okay, Jets -3. Steelers stink. Zach Wilson is back. Major dub for the Jets.
I wonder who put that one.
Don't
Sounds
know.
like Chris.
It's anonymous. We'll never know.
Jets +4, 3 and 4. A lot of 4s.
Yeah, this is probably the
Awesome.
first time I'm going to go single digits for this. I think they'll only lose by 9 this week.
Okay.
Is it in? Oh, it's in Pittsburgh. What's their new stadium called? It's no longer Heinz
Acrisure.
Ketchup Field.
Acrisure or something.
Is it a better field than the Heinz Field,
It's the same
condition
deal.
wise?
Same
Same
field,
thing.
same ketchup bottle, just called the Acrisure.
Oh, baby. That's some home field advantage. I've got the Steelers by a touchdown.
I've got the Steelers. By 10.
I would have bet my life last week that the Jets got rocked, and they did. I thought they were such a phony team. They were down
It's
2
so
scores.
easy. It's so
They were down
easy to-
2.
It's so easy to play Monday morning quarterback. It is so easy.
I picked them in my survivor pool. It didn't even take me a second because they were down 2 scores to Cleveland and got super, super lucky to come back and
Not
win that one
super
game.
lucky. You mean super talented. Not
It happened. It's
not
happened
any-
one time in the last like 7,000
All right.
games.
We are not.
Exactly. Imagine if I did something once
So
that people
we're
haven't done in the last
on
7,000.
other predictions for this week, which was optional. People do believe that Matt Nick's team will start to shine. Is that
I wonder who those people
to
are.
himself in the third person? It could be. It also couldn't be. Or was that Nick? Nick has been a Matt Nick truther for a while, so maybe it was him. He also likes his last name, Nick. All right. Eagles win 35-21 against the Jags. Once again, not sure if this is a Philly boy because I'd expect a Philly boy to be 35-0. So is this just a write-in? I probably wasn't Shaw, but at the same time, it probably was Shaw because nobody gives a shit about the Eagles. But actually, they look like fucking dogs. The flowers are starting to sprout.
They are starting to sprout.
Who have they played so far this year? The Lions, the Vikings, and the
They dog down the Vikings.
the Commanders. So excited for them to play a team that's actually good.
And that's the Jags.
I agree. I think the Jags are legit. So I think this is a really good matchup for them to see if they're contenders or pretenders.
Do you know who doesn't think the Jags are good?
Who?
Me.
Andrew Berg.
Really?
I did say that last week. hmm
He just made a bet with you that the receivers won't score 33.
His power rankings, his bets on wide receivers. I mean, you're gonna have to throw that Blake Bortles jersey away if the Jags win this week.
We'll see. It's a long season. I think my power rankings will show that I know what I'm talking about.
Sounds good.
Dan, any closing thoughts from matchup of the week? Dan Miller.
No.
Back-to-back weeks, actually. Matchup of the week.
Kind of exciting.
Why was he the matchup with the week when the top two teams in the league are playing each other?
Because he could be sent to 1-3, or Chris could be sent to 4-0.
People just
Because of
want
the
to see.
swing that could happen. If Chris Keitel Chris Keitel could be legit in first place after this weekend.
Oh, so it's not just my last name that you mispronounced.
That's how I say
Keitel.
it too.
I thought it's Keitel.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
Nick Clement.
What's my last name, Pete?
Millar.
Millar.
Peter Millar. Oh. No, that's
Oh,
bad.
baby.
Well, we thank you all for riding along with us for another week. Nick, if there are any good juicy parlays to get in on, please do let us know. I don't like passing up free money. With that being said, it has been wonderful, Andrew, to have you on board with us. Look forward to your criticism of the pod, but probably not yourself. You're going to give rave reviews to everything that you did, just like your power rankings. But everything else that we did wrong, feel free to send my way tomorrow. But with that being said, we look forward to another joyful week 4. And Andrew, thank you for going live on at 10:58 Central Time this morning and doing a waiver wire review. So that being said, have a wonderful Thursday. We will see you all very soon.
See ya.